So technically, this is episode 499, right? So episode 500 will be next week. 200 people at PIB College in Tabanan, an auditorium, state of the art. You're going to have fun. Make sure you come. RSVP, just send me a message and make sure you're one of those 200. But tonight, thank you to my brother Johannes Rhino from Bali News and Travel Treasures Asia and all of the media that have come. Thank you so much, my brothers, for all of you. Thank you for coming, and sisters. So tonight is an episode which is part preview, but for next week, but partly as well, you know, like what is it that inspired SpeakuP Monday in the first place? And as you can see behind us, a common connectivity sitting right here from the US. Robert, thank you so much for being here. This is PIB College, which, as I mentioned, we're going to be at next week, Monday, the 10th of November from 5 p.m. You got to come. Tourism Architect is one of the brands under Curry Life Group, as is RIB and Associates. Tourism Architect is co-building legacy in Indonesia. Curry Life Group is a gateway to Indonesia for business. RIB and Associates is a growth strategist here in Indonesia. Tropical Nomad is this wonderful venue where we sit today. Please, a round of applause for Tropical Nomad. Woo! Mama. Technical partner for the last 321 shows out of the 499 that we've done. And Health Hub Bali, Tracy's not here tonight, is 40 plus episodes focusing on health in Bali. And we're talking about government, we're talking about hospitals, we're talking about patients and practitioners, the future of Bali as an integrative medical hub for all of those three. That's health, wellness, and medical tourism. And again, just a wonderful initiative, Health Hub Bali. Watch out for it. You're going to hear a lot more. So that's everyone who's here currently, and thank you for the audience, which over the years, a few statistics for you. So this is episode 499. Now, during that time, we've had over 1,000 plus guests from 10 market sectors, and they're generally leaders of these market sectors, both Indonesian and expat. And of that 10,000 plus people like you tonight that have turned up in person and watched the show live and had an interaction, asking questions and sharing your energy, your love, your support, and your countdown expertise, right? What's left? So 500 shows. Now, will be next week, as I mentioned, and about 1 million plus online combined views. That's mainly Instagram, but also YouTube. We have a library, and there's also Facebook Live as well. So that gives you a little bit of background. So 2019 is when the show started. The first show, as you will see on our Instagram feed, happened over here, about 1 mile or 3 kilometers, something like that, in a place called Life in Bali, which is with my beautiful family, Marina, and my kids who are not here tonight, but they'll be there for next week. And look, you know, why did it start is probably what I would like to kind of remind everybody first, because it's really important. So there's 3 things that define SpeakuP Monday. People inspire people. Unity in diversity, which is a motto of this great nation of Indonesia. And entrepreneurship and social impact. So just to take you back a little bit, we were at our cafe, Life in Bali, over here in Tamora Gallery. Not a great spot for different reasons. And we knew that we needed to find a way to draw people, to bring people, to create community. My background, which I'll get into a little bit later, lent itself to recognizing and realizing what my purpose is. So my purpose is creating opportunities for projects that positively impact humanity to take place. Now that's from strategic partnerships, that's from coaching individual leaders, coaching groups, coaching teams, to ideally coaching nations. So that's my purpose. So when we were sat there 2019, I think it was January, wondering how we're going to find people to come to our cafe, one Norwegian speaker called Morten, who's not here today, but he's tuning in. He was a guy who was like, Rob, you're a speaker, right? I said, yeah. Well, you have 80 square meter space here. Do I need to spell it out to you? Now, those of you here in Bali will understand what a Bali download is, right? And I see a few heads nodding. A Bali download, I mean, look, I'm sure it happens in other places in the world as well, but it happens a lot more in Bali, I find, because of the energy, the taksu, which we're going to get into in a minute. And it was this sudden download of understanding and wisdom and knowing exactly what I needed to do in a moment. Like a flash comes in, like pictures, a bit like Matrix, and they in the back of your neck, and you want to learn anything? I know. And what it was in Sydney, where I spent 25 years in the hospitality industry doing extremely well. There were 3 men who looked not too dissimilar to some of you handsome fellas sitting here in the audience. They looked immaculate. Their business was booming, right? One of them, I think, had children. And their girlfriends were, again, as beautiful as many of the women that I see here. So these were the pinnacle of success. They had the right car, the right wife, sorry to say, but happy to say, and the whole material trappings of success. So what happened in 1 year is that all 3 committed suicide. And no one saw it coming. That affected me and many others like me who were close to 3 of them, close to all of them, but we never saw it coming. So sitting there, getting this Bali download and knowing exactly what to do and why was because I did some research. On a Monday, at that time, was the highest incident of heart attacks happened on a Monday globally between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Number 1. Number 2, when it comes to suicides, the highest incidence of people trying to take their own lives is on a Monday. So being that I'm a fellow who is into inspiration, who recognizes why I am here, it made the only day where this could happen had to be on a Monday. And it had to be inspiring. People inspire people. Unity and diversity. Entrepreneurship and social impact. So it had to be Monday. It was called SpeakuP Monday. And Bali, as many of us know here, there is no end to coaches. Right? So it's the only place I've been to in the world where everyone is a coach, right? And after 2 minutes, they'll just tell you, yeah, I'm a coach, of what? Blah, 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 And they've all got beautiful websites because AI can do that, right? And when you ask them, how long have you been a coach? Then last week, last month, 2 years ago, I'm 20 years of age and I'm a life coach. Anyway, but look, the point that I'm saying is that there was no end to the talent, the ones that were actually legitimate, no end to the talent of creating a platform for which they can come and share inspiration and knowledge on a day, on a night where it's usually going the other way. So therefore we have like a stone of pure positive intention into a pond that we discuss and we call the universe. When you drop that stone, the ripples of positivity emanate out and impact the whole. So that is what is behind SpeakuP Monday. It's unity and diversity. Well, people inspire people, unity and diversity, entrepreneurship and social impact. Number 2, Bali. Now, just a quick show of hands here. So who has been in Bali for longer than 10 years? Raise your hand. There's a few. Less than 2 years, raise your hand. Those who are visiting Bali, raise your hand. There you go. There they are. I've got some friends visiting. Beautiful. So look, there's a few things which I want to say. So Indonesia, where Bali is one island, okay, is from east to west. It's about 5,100 kilometers. long. It takes about 6 hours to fly from one east to west. There are 17,500 plus islands in Indonesia. Of that, there are almost 280 million people. Of that, the average age is under 30. Of that, Bali is one of the islands, one of that 17,500 islands in Indonesia. Now, Indonesia, I've learned so much from the principles, from the culture, from the people in Indonesia as a whole. I chose Bali because my wife chose Bali. That's the truth, right? I was a passenger, but I'm so glad I followed her advice. So here's the thing that I've noticed, and there's three things which I know there's quite a few Indonesians in the audience tonight, as well as foreigners, but these three things are the three things that really define why I love this country, this nation so much. Number one, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. So Bhinneka Tunggal Ika is the motto of Indonesia, which loosely translated is unity and diversity, right? As a kid, I grew up in a children's home in London for 17 and a half years, from the age of 6 months to 17 and a half. At the age of 12 was a brutal, violent, racist attack. If you want to know the details, I'll share them with you later. But what came out of that was this. I felt humiliated in how I operated. I thought I would be a lot better, a lot tough, a lot more, like a boxer or something, but I wasn't able to do it. So I went through the stages of humiliation, fear, upset, anger, revenge. By day number 3, I remembered a lesson in history 6 months prior, the 100 Years' War, happening in Palestine, as many of you still know. And the question that a kid next to me asked was, Miss, 100 Years' War, it can't be the same people fighting. Can it, miss? At the time, I didn't realize. But in that moment, day number 3, I got it. If I would have found that guy and done everything that I thought I could or wanted to, what would I have achieved? 0. Because it's one word, one thought, passed down from one generation to the next. Unconsciously, we play it out. So unity and diversity has been my motto from the age of 12. I knew why I was here. I was here to unite people, right? Not to separate people. So SpeakuP Monday, unity and diversity is number 1. Because it's part of me, which is part of Indonesia. And it flows through me. Number 2, Gotong Royong. Let's see a few smiles over here. Gotong Royong is, the community coming together to solve a challenge faced by the community. Beautiful. Why is that important? By the way, your personal motto, what would it be? Mine's unity and diversity. If you had one, what would yours be? Interesting way to think. The community coming together to solve a challenge faced by the community is Bhinneka Canggu moment. Is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika in action, right? So SpeakuP Monday is all about bringing together 10 different communities, 10 different market sectors. What I did earlier on with you, tell me about you, 30 seconds, right? All of you get an understanding and an essence of who everyone is here. And then you have the opportunity to connect personally with them one-on-one. There's been 10,000 of those over the years. So SpeakuP Monday is about community connection, is about the community coming together to solve a challenge faced by the community. The last one, Tri Hita Karana, which again we've spoken about this before, and 3 roads to prosperity, happiness, or harmony. Now this is the Balinese philosophy. The others are more Indonesia at large, right? So why is this important? So who thinks, and just give me a hell yeah, who thinks that the world right now might be in need of some harmony? Hell yeah, right? So I did a talk the other day about the wisdom of Bali, Indonesia, to the world. So what I've just said to you, what I've shared with you before is part of that wisdom, as is Tri Hitakarana. So the way I explain it to foreigners, which is not entirely correct, because it's a deeply personal, spiritual thing, but I like to explain things the way that other people understand. So if you have a business, project, or initiative, what is the impact of it on top of the triangle? So 3, human to God, culture, customs, traditions, religion. What is the impact, right? Number 2, human to the environment, regenerative systems, policies, and practices. What is the impact of your business, project, initiative on human to the environment? And then finally, human to human prosperity or dignity. What is your impact on that? So I'm a gateway to Indonesia. That's what we do. We help companies come to Indonesia, Bali in particular, and integrate, not dominate, because that doesn't work, to integrate, to become one with Bali. And that is the framework that we take them through on a business level, so they become a conscious business, but also on a personal level. So what is your human to God? How can you improve that? What is your human to the environment? How can you improve that on nature? What is your human to human prosperity? How do you share prosperity amongst other people here in Bali? So SpeakuP Monday, it embodies all of these 3 things. And that's why a passion 500 episodes ago became an obsession. And it's why of the 1,000+ guests we've interviewed and had help with a few co-hosts, Bhavna Parihar, Natalie Banacek, and our sister Carol is not here tonight, but they'll be there later. You know, it's been about that. It's been about realizing that we can learn something from everyone. And the beauty of interviewing Indonesians from the unicorns of Indonesia. We had the co-founder of Gojek on the show a while ago, Mike, incredible fellow. So we've had the leaders of 10 market sectors, and then we've also had, Indonesian, foreigner, you name it. So that has blessed me with the knowledge to understand how Bali works to the extent that I understand, and I'm learning all the time. So I don't know everything, yeah? And then how I can use that to guide people, businesses, companies into Bali, but also create harmony with themselves. So if I said to a company, I'm going to help you create harmony within your company, they might look at me and smile and say, thank you, no thank you. Whereas if I said to them, hey, I'm going to help you to integrate into Bali and create a sustainable business that will last for generations. Oh, okay. Tell us about that. How do you do that? But in the process, they're getting harmony at the same time. So this, I stand on the shoulders of my sister over here from Malaikat Hukum, of my sister over here, Ibu Jero, who have been on the show. You haven't been on the show yet, but you have a few times. You're on the show, right? But I've interviewed, Balinese royal families, and so on, Balinese in all levels of industry, Indonesians at large. My wife is from Jakarta, right? So from Bogor, from Jakarta, from Surabaya. So we've interviewed people from all over the world, and I learned from every single one of them. Unity and diversity. People inspire people. Entrepreneurship and social impact. So what I'm trying to say is that along this journey has been such a rich cultural immersion experience for me, which is why I've come to love Indonesia as my home, because I truly have got so many insights and impacts. Because when you think about it, all of us sitting here now are all different. We're from different areas of the world, yet we can find common ground around things that we can all relate to, smile about, laugh about, get close about. And before we know it, we're having a chat with this person next door without any assumptions, ideas on who they are, what we think they would be into or not. And that's what SpeakuP Monday is actually all about. It's about the audience as well as the one sitting here. It's about how do we create harmony here. Because if we can create harmony here, then you take that away with you. If we can create prosperity here, then you can take that away with you. If we can create a sense of what Trihita Karana is in action, then you can take that away with you. So our job is to create a stage and a platform to shine a light on brilliant people, ideas, concepts, but humanity is the number one, and harmony within humanity, right? So at this point, I can see that Bali's shaking us up with a bit of lightning. I could go on for forever. So in about a few minutes, if you have any questions, because I'd love to hear your questions, just raise your hand. And again, it's ask me anything, right? So any question, please feel free to ask. So now, while you think about the questions, and before we get there, I just want to have a quick statement for our media friends over here. So next week, Monday, 10th of November, is the 500th episode. It won't be here at Tropical Nomad. It will be in... Yes, Tabanan, PIB College, which is not far. It's just before you get to Nuanu, if you've been there, the creative city. And there they have, the college covers three things. One is hospitality and kind of the culinary aspect, which you probably know about. Another one is it covers tourism. And the other one is creative economy. Right? So they have an auditorium there, 200 seats, state of the art. That already had me, by the way. But then there's an LED 4K screen, like 3 meters high, 10 meters long. I'm like, what the hell is this? So it's an amazing place, right? And there's a wonderful reception area outside, and the grounds as you go in is just pure beauty. It's pure Bali, right? Green, lush, vegetation, trees. It's amazing. So it's a beautiful venue. So to come to that, please RSVP to me. There's messages out there. There's my number. Any form of social media, but try to do it on WhatsApp would be very helpful. And be one of those 200. Now, if you're one person here and you're wondering, can I invite anyone? Yes, you can, because Gotong Royong. Right? I can't do this by myself, right? It's the communities which have been formed that are watching online, which have been maybe attending some of those episodes that we've had in the past, that received an insight or something, share this with the people that you believe and think will resonate with this message. So what are we doing? So that whole 500 episode is devoted to Trihita Karana. But I didn't say that because I know people keep saying it and don't mean it, and I don't want to be one of those guys, right? So, inspired by Bali, spiritual, is at the top. So we have, so we call him Erawan, right? But his full name is Anak Agung Bagus Erawan. I missed out one of those names. Sorry, everyone. So he is the king of the royal palace of Purianya Krambatan in Tabanan. Now, that is one of the oldest royal compounds built in 1650 that's still mainly in its original state. They started off, his dad and his generational Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones, Whitney Houston, all used to go to that Puri on a number of occasions because they couldn't get enough. So he's one guest with Malo Bandam, who was here a few weeks ago. Malo started the Bali Archives 1928 and is one of the advisors of Saka Museum, which is one of the most beautiful museums that honors and applauds Bali history. Is phenomenal. From the Subak system to the Hitakana, it goes on. So Saka Museum is at Ayana down in Jimbaran. Go and check it out. So they will be together. And that is inspired by Bali, that spiritual wisdom. Then we move on to nature. Now there's one guest who hasn't confirmed it, so I can't say her name. But this is a person who has excelled in design in harmony with nature. Right? I'll say no more than that. And then the final one is prosperity. So prosperity, I've reached out to my Jakarta brother. So he's known as the Elon Musk of Indonesia. Name is Rain Rinaldi, and he's head of innovation technology Kadin. His own company is the president of Open Tech ID. He started and founded the association, the first and only association of smart cities in Indonesia. And he's a micro banking, sits on top of I think one of the largest groups of bankers in Indonesia as well. Just a phenomenal guy, right? Rain Rinaldi. Now he'll be paired with one other one that I'm just going to get the confirmation, so hang on. But that's all about prosperity. So it will be 3 short panels, 20 minutes each, with 10 minutes of Q&A. And then after that will be a time for networking again, so you can meet each other. So that will start at 5 o'clock. 5 to 6 will be meet and greet. 6 will be inside the auditorium, kind of getting to know each other a little bit. 6:30 will start with the spirit of Bali. And then the next panel after that will be nature, inspired by nature. And the third part of that panel, the last one will be inspired by prosperity. There'll be some great speakers there as well, outside of who I've mentioned. So please feel free to come. It will be very worth your time, worth your effort, and we'll have refreshments from the culinary school, which are phenomenal at what they do as well. So that's next week, Monday, 10th of November at PIB College, Tabanan, 5 p.m. I think till about 9 p.m., but you can come at 5:30. Bali time, 5:45, right? But stay, come and check it out. Really cool. But RSVP first. The details are already online. If you need to know more, let me know. So time for questions, and I'll have some of this juice. So feel free to raise your hands. Don't be shy, otherwise I'll pick on you.
Hello.
Ooh.
So I would like to know, because it's already almost the 500 episode. What I want to know is, what is your end game here? I mean, I understand that you talk a lot. Sorry. No, sorry.
Not even a Freudian slip. He's my brother, and he tells the truth.
Well, you have a lot of things to talk about. You are good in connecting people, but I mean, how long you're willing to drive until you are running out of petrol?
Love it, brother. Great round of applause for that question, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, you know, here's the thing. When you're tapped into your purpose, you don't run out of energy. If you do, it means that you're somewhere else, right? if you get my drift. So this, I feel so strongly and so deeply that it's just something that comes that I have to do. That's a feeling. I have to do it. So I'm very driven and very motivated and inspired to do it. And it comes through me, not from me. And again, that's why I linked that story back to when I was 12. There were many insights like this. Another insight there was this children's home was pejoratively black, but I was the only black kid at school for the first 13 years. I will get back to your question. So what happened was people didn't want us there in this upper middle class area in the UK, in London. And so one time, and we used to fight each other. I was always the youngest kid. I wasn't that good at fighting, so I was always getting beaten up. God dang. But that's how it happened. One time, there were about 30 people. Now we're talking, and this, if you understand this, it means you're old, right? I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. Mods, skinheads, rockabillys, right? Okay, people nodding here. You guys are old, man. So we had 30 mods come and attack our home. Right? Now, there's a reason for it, which is not for this time. But the fact was, I was sitting there watching TV, and this was around about 12. 12 was busy, gosh. And through the window came, something, and all the shouting and screaming, and we knew that there was something going on. So the kids ran upstairs. We were throwing cups like this down onto the guys below. So what happened was this, is that all of us, our kids that used to fight against each other, now we were united by one thing: 30 mods coming to hurt us. So what I noticed, gotong royong, right, is that all of us came together as one family instantly to protect each other. Like that. That had a profound effect on me, because then I realized, as an introvert then, as I really was, I realized that people that seem to be different are not actually that different, even if we beat each other up, right? And we were violent against each other sometimes. But I realized then that that children's home was a microcosm for the world. We had like 10, 15, 20 different nationalities go through that children's home. But all of us bonded. And that happened 3 times, 3 different occasions, similar to that. So these sorts of events instilled in me from such a deep, young age that I had to be someone that was able to do that. SpeakuP Monday, now answering your question, SpeakuP Monday is a conduit for that. So it's something that is embossed, that is so deeply rooted and deeply seated within me, that is part of who I am. So the energy is always there for it. Even during these 499 episodes, I've been sick sometimes. I've been over it sometimes. I didn't want to do it sometimes because I was sick. I was overseas sometimes to fly back, but I never missed. Because I knew it was never about me. Actually, even though I'm talking a lot and it sounds like it's about me, but it's not. I have a much deeper vision. So to answer the second part of your question, and I was writing this down recently, I would love to create or co-create a movement around the world which involves global leaders on multiple levels. We're talking government as well as entrepreneurship. It has to be both. It can't just be one. And this movement is about how do we come together, find harmony, tri hitakarana, and with that harmony go out to the world and start to empower the people in the specific regions of the world that need the help to unify in their particular area. So in other words, it's like, how do I create, co-create, or support a global movement which is empowering people in the world to find harmony and peace within the nations where they sit, where they live. That is my ultimate goal. And SpeakuP Monday and that, they're inextricably linked, right? So, and I'm already doing it, by the way, because there's another project which I'll tell you about some other time, and it's already moving in that direction. The last thing I'll give you, which is important but not important, I met my father again about 15, 16 years ago, and as a punishment, he thought, because, he thought that 16 years of not trying to find me, I was punishing him, which is not true, but he wrote down by pen and paper our family tree. Now this thing, when you get a piece of paper and you open it up, and then you lay it on the floor, then you open it up. It's a bit like that. And then my uncle, my dad's brother, is a guy called Robert Bonnick, right? And Ronald's mantle, his personal motto is that if there's anything worth knowing in the world, I want to know it, right? In my extended family tree, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, they're all Jamaican Maroons. Now, it means nothing, but then it means everything. You choose. But the point I'm trying to make is that, I was an introverted kid, as I mentioned before, with mechanical jaw issues. So that means that I used to suck my teeth, pull my jaw down. So when I clench my jaw, my tongue still comes out because I pull my jaw down. I had a lisp. I had a stutter. Bad, like long. I had so many deep-seated issues as a kid growing up, thinking that I was a white kid in a black man's body, go figure, right? So I had all these issues growing up. If you would have looked at me then and said, this guy is going to become a speaker that's going to speak on stages around the world. Last month I was in Abu Dhabi talking on the stage of IUCN, which is one of the largest gatherings in conservation in the world, one every 4 years. And I was moderating the ocean stage, all about the oceans, with world leaders, diplomats. Incredible experience, right? And I was there sharing exactly what I'm sharing with you now. How do we find harmony together? Because I know that some of the deals that should happen are not happening because you don't like each other. Well, here's a framework for how you get over that, which I'll get to. So getting back to the point, like there's something that is flowing through me. Who feels like you're born to do something? Just raise your hand. Come on, be honest. Raise your hands. Right. Who knows what it is? Keep your hand up. That's cool. There's a few of you. So thank you. So this thing is sometimes it's hard to put into words. And what I've said, I still know it's not quite it. I still know it's got to develop a little bit more. But I know it's in the right direction. So this is what is driving everything which I'm doing. And SpeakuP Monday, I will always do for another 500 episodes. So what is the goal? The goal is to bring Trihita Karana and this concept to the world, actually. Because I feel that framework is one for the world. Harmony between people. Harmony with nature. Harmony with God. Harmony, I mean, what? You know, if one person can have harmony with God, harmony with their environment, harmony with other humans themselves, that makes a conscious human in my book. What does a conscious human make? Conscious decisions. And what do conscious decisions make? Probably a better situation than what we have right now. Consciously. So this is what SpeakuP Monday is actually about. Thank you for asking that question because I hadn't had the chance to explain it in that way. Beautiful question, brother. Any other questions? Yep. Yeah. You got. We got a few mics.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Thanks so much, Robert. Yeah, my name's Gareth Benson. I'm an intellectual property lawyer and currently calling Bali home. Proud to be also working with Sari and Mekalik Hukum. But one of the things that I've been intrigued over many years, 2 decades, on purpose, has been the power of people's stories. And given that this is on the in the cusp of the 500 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, from the ideas, makers, creators, and history shakers that you've spoken to over the last 499 episodes, could you mention perhaps just 3 where the power of purpose has resonated?
Ooh, great question. Couldn't have written these myself. All right. In no particular order, all 499 gave something valuable and important to people, period. Most of those people I didn't know properly. I just had a feeling about them and said, hey, you want to come and have a chat? And they were like, yeah, okay. And then I don't write questions. I sit down and I listen. 3 types of listening. Listening to interrupt. We've all done that. Listening while multitasking. We've done that. And then active listening. I'm listening to what you're saying and what you're not saying. And listening with your soul, right? Listening actively or listening with your soul, the next question always comes. And it's within a frequency that's got nothing to do with you, if you're open to it, right? So each episode has generated and created that value for people. Okay, putting that aside, Roger James Hamilton, Genius Group. So he was here 3 or 4 weeks ago, friend and client. So what I love about Roger is that, so the Genius Group, so there's a guy called Buckminster Fuller. Raise your hands, remember Buckminster Fuller? Okay, Bucky Fuller was an architect and a futurist. Right? One of the things that he mentioned was that if the level of human consciousness doesn't rise to meet the level of technology in the world, we're in deep problem. And he was referring to what people believe is a singularity, which we're kind of in right now. Right? So what Roger's doing with the Genius Group, which is the only New York Stock Exchange listed educational company in Bali, friend and client, right? And so they're working on that side of consciousness. So how do we create educative programs which embody AI, community, Bitcoin, right? How do we bring these elements in to uplift, upgrade to 10x, 100x our consciousness to meet this? At the same time, like, how do we then, like Trihita Karana, there's 3 types of work, right? There's like your life's work. Let us call it village work, personal work, money work. Village work, personal work, money work. Personal work is self-development. Money work is, I gotta get some money. God, give me the money, right? Money work. Village work is the most important. And village work is, well, how do I empower my community? How do I work with them? What do I create? What do I generate of value, right? And now when I say life's work, is that then how do we then, see, I do what I love to do and get paid for it. It's not been an easy road to follow, to reach, actually. And if you ask my wife, she'll tell you the truth. Maybe she shouldn't be on the show. Maybe she should. But the point I'm trying to make is that the idea behind this is that how do we shift? And our life's work embodies those 3 things. Our money work, our personal work, and our village work. So the Genius Group, that's what it's really all about, and it's taking humanity in that direction. 7 million plus network around the world. Entrepreneurship, Genius U is a platform that he started a long time ago. 20 years he's been doing this for, right? And again, so all of these different platforms we're uniting. There's a docu-series, there's a whole bunch of things that we're working on at the moment, right? So he will be one. Again, person, and there's a podcast series that we're going to start. Am I allowed to tell you? I don't know. Let's just say that Stephen Bartlett, you love that, Stephen Bartlett, who's the second largest podcaster by numbers in the world, he also brought out to the Genius Future Summit recently, right? So imagine if you have, a podcast devoted to XYZ changing the world. You can slot in the XYZ. I didn't say it. Right? So imagine that. That will be one. Another one would be Matilda Dwi Lestari. Now, Matilda Dwi Lestari is Indonesian. She is part of the first Indonesian female team to complete the 7 Summits Challenge. Now, I used to nod my head going like, yeah. Do you know what it is? Nah. So, 7 Summits Challenge is that you climb the highest mountain on 7 continents, including Mount Everest. She did it with Frankie, the climbing partner, and there's one other person who didn't complete it, unfortunately, but she was the first one. So why is that? Why is she important for me? Because up until then, that was episode number 40 or 50, going back a while. She's been on before, but that was the first time. She was in the audience the week before, and I was introduced to her by a mutual friend, and I'm a bit cheeky. And I was sitting next to her, and I knew I had a cancellation for the following week. I was like, Matilda, yeah, it's going to be you next week. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, well, why not? And we get yes, no. And again, not me, through me, not from me. I said, you're afraid of speaking in public, aren't you? Now, at this point, SpeakuP Monday was part presentation. If I'm a coach, I present myself, and then Q&A at the back. But when you present, it's difficult not to be a bit salesy, right? It's difficult. So she didn't want to do that bit. So she was like, no. And again, not me, but through me, not from me. I was like, we'll do Q&A only. And when you're looking at someone and they know they're going to say yes, they're going to say yes, but they're kind of just trying to hold it, trying to string it out, trying to push it away, but it's inevitable. Yeah. She goes, yeah, okay, we'll do it. The next week we did Matilda, and it was groundbreaking for 3 reasons. Number 1 is that she is such a beautiful human. Right? She's about this tall, by the way. So if I'm sitting down, I might be about the same height. Number 2, her honesty. So one person had a question saying, look, when you got to the top of the world after doing all these 6 other mountains and you're Everest, did you feel closer to God? Did you feel that your life's work had been done? Did you feel like, I've done it? And she said, nope. I look back down the mountain, and getting up to Everest is like it's like a queue of people all waiting to get to the summit to get their photo. I had sponsors that wanted their photo, so I had to smile and do the sponsor thing. When you're above X thousand meters, I don't remember how many, you're in the death zone. So every minute that you spend up there, it's counting against you, right? I had that. I had the stress of worrying, because most mountaineers die on the way down, not on the way up. I didn't know that. But when you think about it, you get exhausted going up, woo! And then when you come back down is when you might make a mistake. And making a mistake on the way down is deadly. So she's worrying about all of these different things. So what I was expecting, what the audience was expecting, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, all the daters are like, well done, Matilda, I embrace you. And she was like, no. But very down to earth and like very again, I was upset because I thought it was going to be a lot more, but she was so strong, such a marvelous woman who's incredibly down to earth and humble, and spoke about the training and how much it hurt, spoke about the fact that they didn't have the money to kind of do it, and they were struggling with that, and all these different struggles of a real person doing a monumental challenge. And then the luck of the fact that time period, when you're trying to summit, the weather has to be kind to you. So all of these things she was talking about. So Matilda was definitely the other one. The other one was a guy called Brian, breathwork Brian. So he's a breathwork guy, Brian. I hadn't met him before. He was referred to me by somebody else. He was traveling here. It was raining, and he came through. And all I saw were his eyes, because the rain weather gear, the everything. And I looked at his eyes, momentary period flashing by, and I knew that interview would be one of the best interviews that we would do. It's not me, but it came through. And he was late too. And when we got there, I just said to him, "Is there anything that you don't want to talk about?" Nope. Is there anything you want me to avoid? Nope. Is there anything you want to talk about? Nothing. And we sat down and had one of the best Q&As to this day, because of his honesty, sincerity, brutally honest nature. Me, I'm happy. I smile a lot. It's true, but it's partly because that's how I grew up, right? That's how I avoided getting beaten up, is by making people laugh, right? It's true. But also what I find is it disarms people, right? If you're in an audience and you're smiling and you're laughing, you're having fun, you're more likely to then interact with the person next to you, or listen to when in the moments where you deliver something that's deep and meaningful. It's going to go in. There's no wall up that's blocking it. But thank you for your question. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, other questions? Is that you, Elvis? I see. Any other questions? Just raise your hand. Yeah, over here. Yeah, Susanna. And I promise to be shorter on my answers now.
Hi. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? But imagine that you cannot fail.
Where would I be in 5 years? Okay. When I was 12, so much happened during this 12-year. I know. I wanted to be Secretary General of the UN. That's what I wanted to be. So 5 years from now, even though I've met people who work at the UN, sorry UN, and they tell me so many conflicting things, but that's what I'd love to do. Actually.
First of all, great. A question, if you were to share some connectivity to a young Indonesian boy, girl, as to the upside future for them, what would you share?
Love it. Great question. Thanks, Rob. So here's the beauty of it. I've had the opportunity to interview many Indonesians, Balinese and Indonesia at large. And I think this is the best way to describe it. So there's a group I started, which is a blockchain group. Doesn't matter, there's a blockchain group. In this blockchain group were foreigners and locals. In the West, where I'm from, In general, the attitude is about me. The East is about we. It's a huge distance. In this group, I realized the brilliance of all of these projects, be they Indonesian, foreigner. What I realized though was that the foreigners were more chest out. I know this. I know my shit. I'm fantastic. The Indonesians were more humble, which the foreigners misread as, yeah, you're acknowledging that I'm great. 3-step process. And this is really good. When you're polarized with someone you don't quite get along with. 1, curiosity. Suspend what you think about them. Curiosity. What in their life has made them who I see today? Their opinions, their thoughts, their emotions, their views. Number 2, humility. Understanding that if I would have had the same upbringing as them, I would probably have the same view, the same opinion. Number 3, empathy. Knowing that I have curiosity, knowing that I have humility now, empathy comes next. It's like, right, I may not believe what they're saying, but I understand why they believe what they believe. And I'm okay with that because it's from their viewpoint. What I did was this 3-step process mirrored onto that, which is see you, learn about you, work together. I'll cut a long story short. After about 15, 20 episodes, interviewing all of these different founders multiple times and breaking them down like that, they began to see each other because they saw each other. Then they began to learn about each other, and then they began to work together. 3 of those projects now are traveling around Indonesia, and they're backed by government, right? So they did really, really well. Now, why does that relate to Robert's question? Because Anta Igede Rahman is from Bali, and he's one of the most brilliant minds I've ever seen. He was in this group, right? Now, he's Balinese, 100%. He was chosen by Silicon Valley to be one of, I think, 20 bright minds around the world to be brought to Silicon Valley to have a special segment with the best of the best from Silicon Valley in the technology sphere. So what is it that I see for Indonesia is like this. Through having the show, I've met many Antas. Simon, I can give you names. So I find that Indonesia has one of the most awake, aware, sincere, connected youth that I've ever seen around the world. And they're in touch with Indonesia, or here in touch with Bali. So they haven't got the ego. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Right? So Indonesia is a young country, right? 280 million people almost, average age under 30. So there's a hunger to learn, and there's a hunger to enhance their knowledge and to grow. So over the next 5 or 10 or 15 years, I believe that Indonesia will produce some of the best minds, creators in the world. That's also enforced by, everyone knows what sea turtles are? So sea turtles is a term given, in this case, to Indonesian talent, such as in the medical profession, that went from Indonesia, studied overseas, learnt, and then came back and gave their knowledge back here. Sea turtles returned to the same beach from where they were created, right? Another guy who's a bit older, his name is PD Subangkat, right? Now, PD, his company is called Desktop IP, right? Desktop IP. Now, as you know, there are about 3 or 4 companies in the world that own the IP in the technology space. Apple, Alibaba, and there are a few more in the States. There's one here, which is Desktop IP. So, but he cut his teeth with Microsoft and all the guys in the US, brought it back here, and now he's serving Indonesia with his talent. There are so many people like that where I've interviewed, where I've seen that, again, for the future of Indonesia, I see it incredibly bright. I see them to be very humble in a good way. I see them to be very hungry for knowledge, and I see that next generation to be brilliant and wise and smart. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Anyone else? Elvis? No. Susanna, you asked your question already. Over here, yeah. So, brother Gareth, can you help with the mic? Thank you, brother. Just pass it over to Kim. I hope that answers your question, Rob. Yeah, good.
Robert, thank you for inviting us today and for next week. An honour to be in with everybody. My question is a one-word answer. Bali has been a big part of... That's hard, I know. Bali has been a big part of my life for the last 33 years. And as we all know it, there is something in Bali that calls you to be here. You've said some amazing and used some amazing words this evening about Bali and what it's done for you, your family, those that you've had an impact on. What is the one word that you would use that describes the emotion that you get from Bali?
Yeah. Oh, and she knows this already. Taksu. Taksu. Taksu is broadly defined as energy. You know, so that's what Bali is for me, and it's Bali's energy. So that's the one word, and I'll give it a bit of. So Taksu is the one word, and then I'll give you some, because people don't understand this, right? I'll give you some basis to it. So, as many people here know, or maybe don't know, Bali's in a ring of fire. Technically, right? And with that, there are ley lines of energy. There are volcanoes that connect the source of the planet to us. So these things give Bali a combination of healing properties. Well, we'll get into all of it now. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect is Bali's culture, which is one of the only living cultures left in the world. So what do I mean by that? If I go to, I'm not going to mention a place because then I'll be calling them out. If I go to a South American destination, let's say, for instance, and I go to the airport, they greet me in a traditional way. Right? When I'm gone, I'm in the taxi, I'm going home, then probably, and I've actually seen this, the dress comes off and they go back to the day job. Bali's not like that. Bali is ceremony every day, offerings every day, right? It's life is every day, community, every day, honoring God, environment, each other every day. So when you have this energy that's rising from Mother Bali, rising from the earth, rising from the core, and then you have culture that then in a way locks it in, that's the energy that's created. So that's the reason why Bali for me has so much going on, and it gives you exactly what you need, even if you don't want it.
Yeah, I love
it helps you to grow.
Yeah, I love the way you use the word every day, because it is every day. It just gives you something that you need, that you don't even know that you need.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ooh, anybody else? There's more questions out there. We've got time for one or two more. Yes, over here. Thank you, my darling. Yeah. Oh, there was one next to you. Sister.
Hi, Brother Robert. So I remember the first time I met you, you talk about breath work. And now you talk like, the most three top, memorable for you is breath work. And this Mr. Australia here have been telling me about breath work. I haven't done breath work before. Can you just describe why breath work is, what is breath work and why it's so different if you do it in Bali? Is there any taksu coming out of it if you do breath work in Bali? Just enlighten me about breath work, because it seems like you and breath work is so intricate. I just remember first time, a few years ago when I met you, you say, it's about breath work. Okay, maybe after that I convert to do breath work too. Thank you.
Well, no pressure. And look, the answer I'll give is a personal opinion. right? I'm not a breathwork coach, not a breathwork expert, but it's a personal opinion. So one of the things is that breath is life. So when you come into life, that's a baby crying if you didn't know what that was. When you leave life, in and out. So there's a calculation that's been made of the amount of breaths an average person will take. I don't got no clue what the number is anymore. But why I find breath work to be important is that number one, we're all breathing every single day. Number two, applicable one, as a speaker, I understand that I can speak from up here in my throat, or I can take it down into my diaphragm. So I already know that through being a speaker, that by where I take and draw the breath allows me to give potency and power to my voice on demand. So being a speaker as well, remember, I was a shy kid, full of anxiety, a black kid who thought he was white for 13 years, right? And there's so much behind that. But anxiety, just through the realization that when my thoughts are racing, my breath is also racing, or I'm holding my breath, right? And I'm a guy who holds my breath, but sometimes when I'm panicking, so I can dissolve that anxiety by breathing. For example, if I take a breath in through my nose for the count of, say, 2, but I breathe out for the count of 3, like I've got a straw in my mouth, right? Or longer, 3 or 4 of those breaths will remove the anxiety from my system. Why? Because the breath is connected to the anxiety. If I slow my breath down, then I slow what's happening in my head. So breath is a way then to not only as a speaker be able to control and regulate my voice and tone and everything else, but also when it comes to anxiety, which I face sometimes, right? It allows me to be able to control that anxiety. The last one is that so anxiety is slowing down, but if I'm tired, I can do a breath that brings energy back into my body and gives me that extra 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of focus that I may need at that time to push through. So those 3 ideally straight practical examples are one of the reasons why I think the knowledge of breath work is super powerful. I could go into breathwork journeys, which is something different again, but that's maybe for another time. But the practical aspects of it, I think, are explained in those 3 examples of why I rate it so much. Yeah. Thank you, sister. Okay, last question, maybe. All right. Yeah. And I see you too, Andrea. I know you have a question.
There you go.
Oh, Elvis. Yeah.
Hi, brother.
Hey, brother.
Okay, so when's your ebook on the 500 episode coming out?
Oh, sorry, when's my
Ebook.
on the final episode?
500 episode.
For the 500 episode.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
It's gonna be too thick for a printed book, right?
Man,
so ebook is fine.
That's a good idea. Here's an interesting thing. So Stephen Bartlett, right? I mentioned him before. So Stephen Bartlett, obviously is the second largest podcaster in the world. What I do is not a podcast, right? It's a talk show. But I got to meet him because we were working together on the Genius Future Summit. And, I watch people like the Late Show. Right, I got a few US brothers and sisters here. I was watching Leno, I was watching David, I was watching David Frost as well as the other David. Now you've got Stephen Colbert, right, and so on and so on and so on. Like, I think one of the most powerful things which relates to an ebook is that, you see, I'm a sponge for knowledge as well. Right? And when you sit down with very interesting people, by the way, everybody has a story, whether I call them interesting or not, everyone has a story. It's just sitting down and actively listening and you'll find your way. Curiosity, humility, empathy, you'll find everyone's story. But it's what you can bring to the surface and awareness to the world. So Stephen, what he was talking about in one of his talks was, just taking information from some of the best interviews that he had conducted and then putting that in a way that people can understand. They can take it, they can learn from it, they can grow from it, they can use it in a way that is valuable to them. So, jokes aside, with the ebook, it's a good idea, and now with AI and everything else, we can find ways to crunch all this information, tease out the key aspects of each individual, and put that in a form that is easy for people to understand, like a digestive, they can really put that. So you know what, I hadn't thought of that before, but I think that I might do that now. You've challenged me to it. I'm going to have to say yes. Now, when? Within 3 months of episode 500. Why did I say 3 months? Done. Thank you. Now, any other questions before we say goodbye for tonight? Okay, so look, as we begin to wrap up, firstly, I just want to thank everybody here for coming. I hope it's been of interest to you. I hope you're going to meet someone here that you heard talking before and actually talk to them, right? Because there are some phenomenal people here. And what I found over the years is that through allowing people to speak into who they are, it allows other people to see them and then to connect. The reason why I said don't tell them your name is because you will forget it. But the thing is that it's the way to open the conversation as well, right? So you don't need to feel funny about it. You can say, look, I don't know your name, and maybe we start there, but what you had to say about that really interests me because of X, Y, and Z. So please take that opportunity to meet each other and to have that extra conversation, especially those who have flown in from the US. Thank you so much, Robert, Trin, and all the brothers and sisters over there. Thank you so much. I really, 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 really appreciate it. But please, while you're here, meet some of these amazing people which are here, and now you've heard them speak. Right, so that will be number one. Number two, just acknowledging again, a round of applause for Tropical Nomad. Again, thank you so much. He doesn't want me to, but I'm going to do it anyway. A common one, connectivity. Round of applause, please. We won't do them all. PIB College. So remember, next week, the 500th episode is going to be at PIB College in Tabanan. Brand new state-of-the-art auditorium, 200 people, 200 seats. Please RSVP for that one to that WhatsApp number that was given on all of the posts. If you need it, just come and I'll give it to you again. Please come, spread the message, share the love. 5 p.m. Next Monday, be 200 people plus. I think it's going to be plus. It'll be fun, right? So that's PIB. Us over here, Career Life Group is our company, and under the umbrella of 3 award-winning initiatives, RIB and Associates is a growth strategist for Indonesia. Tourism Architect is co-building legacy in Indonesia. SpeakuP Monday is about how do we shine a spotlight on Indonesia, right? And the beautiful people and stories which comprise Indonesia in a way unapologetically. So if you're watching from overseas, by the way, the camera's here, but I've been looking here a lot. If you're watching from overseas, you're like, you know what? I should go and check out this Indonesia. I should go and check out some of these 70,500 islands. Maybe I'll start with Bali or somewhere else, but start with Bali first, right? So that's that. And of course, Tropical Nomad, we've already given a round of applause to. Health Up Bali, not here tonight. As I mentioned, health tourism initiative, and we're talking about, Bali as an integrated medical tourism destination, which embodies and comprises wellness tourism, medical tourism, and of course the final one, health, medical, and health tourism. Almost forgot. So thank you for that. Final words from me. Look, it's been 499 episodes, but here's the thing, as Robert asked me before, right? So in a way, this is celebrating what has come before, but it's also laying the groundwork to what is going to come in the future. So through Johannes' question, you know where my heart and soul is. It's about how do we dissolve the differences and the walls and the challenges and the problems between humanity by seeing each other, harmony, right? And I do it through business as well as through government, because you need both. It's a private-public partnership. It takes all. Going through government alone is very difficult. Going through private sector alone is maybe a little bit easier. It depends where you are. But if you can find a way to join those two together, then that's where the magic is. And how I do it is through empowering, creating, co-creating, supporting projects that have a powerful, positive impact on humanity. Right? So if there's any way that I can help facilitate or service that in any projects that you're doing, remember, over the years, again, I think Ronnie's here somewhere, but there are people building phenomenal projects. And where I come in is that I'm the guy who brings in all the different elements for that project to happen. And I also help to navigate the way and bring in the team that will help you to navigate that in a way which is ecological, sustainable, regenerative, right? So this is where it's at. So as a final word, come to the 500th episode. It's going to be fun. But just thank you for your support. If there's one thing that you take away from tonight's episode, being number 499, if you have a challenge with someone that you see, employ this. Suspend what you believe and think that you know to be right. Employ curiosity. Employ humility. Employ empathy. From that space is an opportunity to connect on a different level. And that's what SpeakuP Monday is all about, through the interviews of many different people in many different walks of life, Indonesian and foreigners alike, 10 different market sectors, powerful companies to small companies. That's what we do. Thank you for your support. Thanks for coming. See you next week. Lots of love. Thank you very much indeed.